What's up, guys?
No.
Welcome. No?
So cooked.
Welcome to Trims and Talk.
What's going on?
All the credits.
I just wanna talk with my brothers, is that too much to ask? Might as well look sharp, cause I'm doing it too. Trims and talk. Trims and talk. Trims and talk. I wanna know.
So how have you been, man? I see you've been to Fades because I can see.
Yes, I went last week.
I can see the.
They were on good form.
I can see the scraping of the scalp.
Yes.
That you've been to
Yeah.
Fades barbershop.
Yes. I've been to Fade's barbershop. Yes,
Yeah.
and on
It was
Thursday we had a good
Called
bit of a chat there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, but this young man, he's
close.
not afraid gets his hair cut, do you?
No,
Me,
no,
I'm
no.
very afraid. That's
You're very
why,
afraid. Yeah.
I go to Fades just for the Batman's chat group.
Yeah, for
and
the
you know what I
chat.
mean,
Yes,
for the
yes,
chat.
yes.
But yeah, and for the banter, yeah. But haircut, no. I'm like Samson, you know.
Samson.
Get my strength from my hair.
Strong like a lion.
So how long you been growing your hair, though?
This is like 30 odd years. This with maybe
Is
a
it?
bit more. Yeah. What am I? Yeah, probably about 30 years.
All right, so when you were a child then,
Yeah.
and you tried to grow locks, how did your parents respond to it?
Initially, it's like, where do I grow locks from? You know, and at school, it's like, you know, I got all the talks around doors will close. They're gonna say you're a rebel. Police are gonna want to jack you up.
Yeah.
All the rest of it, and you know, there's a lot of stereotypes.
Oh,
there, innit?
absolutely,
You know what I
loads,
mean?
yes, yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
just. Initially, they were only small dreads. It was less of a problem, and it just looked like I was coming off the back of the funky dreads. Do you remember that
Yes, I
era?
remember the funky
Yeah,
dreads.
Remember
Yes,
that?
yes.
So
Oh,
it was
yeah.
kind of all
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
as they started to get longer, that's when my parents and a few other people were saying things like that. But I'm quite strong-minded, me. Do you know what I mean? I'm quite independently minded, and I've always thought I want dreads
Yeah,
and going to the barbershop and all that. It's just I didn't always have time for
Yeah.
that. This is low maintenance. you know what
Okay,
I mean?
all right.
So,
okay.
yeah.
We haven't introduced you. We should do that because this is how we roll.
Okay, you just get straight
This is
into
how we
it.
roll.
No.
I was thinking, why?
no,
I didn't even introduce myself.
Yes, no, introduce that. We'll joke in a bit,
Okay.
which is it's a real pleasure to have Wayne here today. And Wayne, you know, we've just been talking downstairs, and we talked a couple of weeks ago, and we talked at the Black Man Chat group as well there. And we've wanted you on because we just enjoy talking with you.
Thank you.
And that was, you know, the thing we wanted more than anything. So we're really pleased that you've been able to
for the invite.
come near Christmas.
Near Christmas,
Trims and
to the
Talk.
last one. To the last one for the year, you
for
know
the
what I'm
year.
saying? Yeah,
I'm honoured,
exactly.
man, I'm
So-
honoured. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for making the effort, you know, to invite me on. And I would have come on before now, but this year it's been a bit of a roller coaster with different things. And I didn't want you to think that I'm thinking too good to come on the
Yeah,
podcast.
well, we
You
did
know what I
think
mean?
that.
He did ask me. No, that was it.
We did say, hey, that Wayne, keep asking him, you know.
Yeah, I know. I knew. I was thinking. I know what they're going to be thinking. I know how people say that.
It's
No,
joke
not
we
at
are
all.
on.
They actually, to be honest, you are part of a list of people, you know, you know, Clinton McCoy included.
Okay. Yes. Has he not been on yet, Clinton?
Hey.
Yes, we're constantly running.
We're
people,
calling you Clinton.
Oh, okay. Yes. Don't make them grab you up in the street, Clinton, like they have done me. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know
No,
Clinton
no.
as well. I go way back with him.
The way back.
Yeah.
Well, one of the joys about doing the Trims and Talkers is that you just get a chance to talk with people for at length. Who just on a one-to-one basis, and the guys and women who we know, and it's a real pleasure. So it is a real
it's a
pleasure there
pleasure.
to
Real
have you
pleasure.
here.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah, but you were saying from the outset there, we were talking about your dreads there, we were talking about Fade's Barbershop, and that's where one of the places where we've got to know one another.
Yeah.
So you're a regular attendee at Fade's. Sort of the Black Man Chat
That's it.
group Storm, which
Yes.
takes place the first Friday of the month. What is it about that group which just keeps you going there every, most meetings?
Yeah, but we had a little chat about this, didn't we, at the last one? And I think the term I used was a cultural injection. That's what I get from Storm and the Black Men's Chat, because yeah, a lot of my life, I suppose, living in a predominantly white country, in a predominantly white job or profession that I do as well, I've realised, I suppose, as an older man, I have to make a conscious effort to step outside of my usual kind of spaces, you know what I mean? Obviously, you've got your family and your friends, but as you get older, life gets a little bit more, you know, insular, a bit more narrow. So when that group got developed just before COVID, and I know Rob Cottrell, obviously, who's developed the group as well. I think everybody knows Rob. He gave me my big break years ago in my kind of line of work. So when he said he was setting a group up and all the rest of it, originally it was to support Rob, you know what I mean? And it's a Sheffield group, obviously. I thought I'd know Sheffield man up in there, which I do. But what I've come to get from the group is this cultural injection, really, of, you know, it's a diversity of perspectives in different walks of life. We're not a kind of homogenous group, are we? You know what I mean? And that group really brings that to life. So, yeah, that's what I get from it.
And I mean, I don't know about you, and I don't know about you, Lungardi, but I find it quite a safe place to disagree.
No, but that's it. No, it's true. I mean, for me, I mean, I listen to every one of you disagreeing with each other. For me,
Man is standing up to make the point.
no, but that's it. For me, I think, you know, it's I think it's a realization that, I mean, I mentioned this last week when we were having the last episode, that, you know, I think one, sometimes there is a lack of spaces where I think as men we can just be. I mean, outside the gym and probably our family, but I think that opportunity to hang around with other brothers and just talk, either talk shop or just talk just nonsense.
That's it. And everything in between.
And everything in between sometimes is needed. And I think more so, like yourself, as I grow older, there's that realization that I don't play dominoes, therefore I don't have that interaction with the brethren.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I'm saying? So there has to be something to be done.
And isn't, I don't know about you, but also just meeting new people. And new people who, you know, new black men,
exactly,
and new black men who you can become close to, as opposed to just the ones you knew. Because I think in life generally, there is something about newness.
There is,
which just can open you up a bit. I mean, you know, I use the phrase often about being curious, but I like to be with new people. I like to find out new things, etc. So it's actually a joy to be in a group where you feel like you're getting to know some people you didn't know before, some younger people, because it's intergenerational as well. And for me, I mean, you're one of the younger ones, aren't you?
I'm probably mid-range.
Mid, because I'm the old man in it.
You know, I said nothing.
Me and Robert, the old men in it. But it's
the elders.
Yeah, the elders. The elders. That's a nice one. I like
Yeah.
elders there. So it's something which you feel like adds to your sort of like well-being, does it?
It does. There's definitely a well-being aspect. There's the kind of networking, as you said. And I think, you know, there's people in there that I knew previously, prior to the group as well, that I've kind of worked with. And you see a different side to them. Do you know what I mean? You see them as a more rounder human being, I suppose, rather than my old line manager or my old colleague. Or, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, boy, they do like mad stuff as well. Do you know what I mean? I ain't going to mention no names, but you know.
And they have doubts, they have sort of like frailties, they have all the things which what people have, but actually you can't necessarily see if they are your line manager. And I think as well, they may also put that role they play as line manager into perspective.
Exactly.
And I say role because it's once said to me by someone, said when I was up at Longley Park and working, and someone said to the students, it's a role he has. That is not who he is.
And it's easy to forget that. And, you know, I'll talk about Rob, because like I say, I'm sure most people who watch this will know Rob. You know, he was the first person who gave me my big break in my line of work. And you kind of, I I suppose you see him or people like that in a certain way in a work setting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So going to the Black Men's Chat group all these years later, it's been interesting to see how he's evolved as a person. You know what I mean? And where he's put his time and effort into the group and his energy, and you know, kind of mellowed, dare I say, as well as a person. And you know, you just see the other aspects of his identity that you wouldn't see. And I think that's probably the same for a lot of people in the group, really.
So I mean, like in your case, because I'm as I'm listening, said you mentioned twice that your line of work, and I'm thinking, what is this line of work? That's me. Because I what kind of work you do?
Well, it's not easy to describe, you know.
Okay.
I'm in social work, that's the
Okay.
game I'm in.
Okay, all
but
right.
it's not frontline stuff, it's not home visits, it's not assessments. I've done all of that stuff in the past, but it's quite a unique role and it's a national role. It's a lot of like policy work, media work, innovation, education, cuts right across different areas, you know what I mean, of social work, but also kind of, I guess, other industries as well, you know, like policy, politics, and so on.
So
yeah,
what got you into social work then?
I kind of fell into that really by accident. I started as a support worker, or even an administrator. It was originally, and I just lived for the weekend, just going out raving, and that was just another job that I bounced into.
Say
To be
raving.
that was like my, I'm not going to say passion, but something that I spent a lot of time, as you do as
What,
a young
raving?
person. Yeah, raving. You know what I mean?
What's your passion?
Yeah.
You can when you're young, make it.
That's it. Yeah, you know, going out, music, girls, all the rest of it, that kind of stuff. And in the late 90s, when I kind of had my era, my peak, you could bounce out of one job on the Friday and go into a next job on the Monday. You know, jobs was plentiful, different world. And that just happened to be a job that I bounced into. I worked for a private fostering agency. I worked in an office. I was doing the office work. And I sort of come up against social workers, you know, I was working alongside them, and I thought, oh, that seems like a good job, you know, mobile phone, company car, they could kind of do, you know, work flexibly and all that, work from home before working from home was a thing. And I thought, yeah, man, that seems like a wicked job, that, you know. So I thought I might get a promotion at this place and work my way up. And they were like, no, it don't work like that, you know, you've got to go to uni, you've got to put work in and time, and like, wow, that seems long.
Yeah.
And in the end, I just did a kind of round the houses version of getting to that point. And like I said, Rob was a big sort of catalyst or springboard in helping me to do that, really. So, yeah.
And that highlights as well, you know, that sort of sense of we sometimes need somebody who we can look to. Someone who's
Definitely.
got to have actually sort of like trod that path before us
Yeah.
to give us a sense that actually it's a path I can tread
Yeah.
as well.
It's achievable, yeah. And he was definitely that. So when I left that job I was just telling you about, I'd gone for an interview at the probation service for another admin job, because like I said, you know, jobs was like plentiful. I'd been at that place I was at for a little while, and I thought, you know, I wouldn't mind doing a bit more work with the public directly, or maybe something like that. So I went for a job at the probation service, and who sat across the interview desk from me but Rob Cottrell and two other of his colleagues, and he was like a senior probation officer at the time. So I'm like, boy, what, black guy as well? Do you know what I mean? Because somebody being at that level of seniority from my sort of background was such a rarity, you know what I mean? So as soon as I walked into the interview room, I can remember just thinking, okay, you know, I might have a chance with this job. And then just chatting for a little bit and got through the interview. And at the end he said, you know what, I think you're too good for this job. There's a next job coming up that I think you should go for. Come back next week, develop a little presentation or create a presentation, and come back and do this job. It's going to involve working directly with offenders and stuff. And I was like, what? He thinks I could do that? 10-minute presentation as well. That seemed like you know, an exam to me at the time. And somehow I managed to do that, you know what I mean? And yeah.
So it's quite, you know, for someone to actually, in a sense, say, I think you're better than that.
Yeah.
That's quite a
that's
thing,
it.
because
No,
we don't
right.
hear that often, do
No,
we?
we
So
don't,
actually,
yeah.
to have that said to you is, I mean, it's quite scary.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
No.
It was. But it was like a mixture of feelings, you know what I mean? And the fact that it was almost like a father figure saying that in that sort of setting as well, like an interview setting.
Yeah.
Somewhere where I'd been before, and it's like, you know, you get that sort of stone cold, clinical kind of vibe, and, you know, it's like you're having to be on your sort of best behaviour, what's
Yeah.
your P's and Q's, and suddenly I've got someone there who looks like me, who's kind of very senior, and, he's saying,
wants the best
yeah,
for you.
yeah.
You know, wants the best, and that's quite a sort of
Yes.
validation, isn't
It's
it?
massive.
To have that sense that somebody here thinks I'm better than this, and wants the best for me, and is encouraging me to actually strive for my best.
Yeah, yeah, he saw something in me
But
and I
that's
didn't
the
see it
thing.
myself. Yeah,
That also kind of ties in with the thing, the Friday thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because sometimes that whole thing of being asked to check in, in some way is like you're getting the permission to say, you know what, let me represent what my week or month has been, and just in the hope, because we don't get to share, so. And if somebody can say to you, I think you have something in you that I see that could benefit this space I'm at.
Yeah.
yeah.
And we don't get that.
And I think as
True.
well with that, I mean, with the group, I feel is that I have a sense that the group wants each person there to be the best they can be. And the best they can be includes acknowledging the things which are difficult, which you're finding difficult, which you're unsure of, because so often you can't actually display that, or you've not been able to display it,
Yeah.
and you feel, there's a part of you which has had to be, sort of hidden nearly, but it's corroding you anyway.
That's right.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's
yeah.
very true. I mean, in that space, I suppose there's a kind of vulnerability that you can show that you can't show anywhere else. And being black males, there's a lot of kind of expectations, stereotypes, I was saying before, all kinds of things.
And do you think
that,
that's the
you know
sort
what
of
I mean?
stereotypes which we ourselves have internalized?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or
yeah.
build.
Yeah.
Or built?
Yeah, a bit of both, innit?
Yeah,
Both.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we build. Because let me tell you, I think many of us are not self-aware. I think that's a problem. It's like more and more I'm getting to that point where I'm able to ask myself some serious questions like, do I contribute to the very things that I end up going through?
Right.
Because how many of us can actually say, you know what? Yeah, I'm 90%, kind of, responsible for the nonsense that happens in my life. You know what I'm saying? And many of us, we don't own the things that we go through. We will blame everyone and anything else. Because, I assume, especially working within the probation service, because that's where many people say they didn't do the thing within that space. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's emblematic of who we are as human beings, and I think as a community, I've sat in meetings with people saying, "Well, they're out to get us,"
Yes, yeah. Oh, yeah.
and rightly so. But sometimes how often do we have other people create the narrative of our, our journey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like they're saying it's something like, the lion won't tell the deer's story kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's usually the people who are on top who, it's there's the dominant narrative. And I think for us, we have this kind of, or as a people, I say us, as a people, sometimes we have this kind of suppressed narrative. And places like the Black Men's Chat allows that narrative to come out.
So do
a
you
bit
feel
more.
as if you're able to forge your own narrative for yourself?
Yeah, well, in the Black Men's Chat, I think it's just a space where automatically you feel validated because there's certain things you don't even need to say because so that people in the group experience same things.
Yeah.
They might have a different interpretation of what that is or why that is, but it's certain unsaid things that's just a common thing.
Yeah.
Whereas you go back out into the kind of, everyday world and suddenly you're finding yourself having to explain things that are
Yes.
quite basic. to
Yeah,
you,
which
know what I
are
mean?
difficult to, you don't want to explain because it's just
Yeah.
tiring to explain it.
Yeah.
You just want to, because it's
frustrating.
It's
Yeah.
frustrating, and it's that
Exactly.
sort of thing which is like, you know what, I just got my life I'm trying to lead, and I don't want to explain all of this.
Yeah.
Because it's like a weight I'm having to carry around with me,
Yeah.
and I don't want to carry a weight with me around with me,
Yeah.
a psychological weight. And you said from the outset there about the notion of a cultural injection, and it made me think that actually there are occasions when you just need to have your space.
Yeah.
You know what? You know, in any sort of set of circumstances. Sometimes it's just I need my space for my family.
Yeah,
I need my space for my partner. I need my space, and sometimes I need my space just within who I'm, representation of myself.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's that kind of perspective, that kind of lens that I've had to sharpen in older age. So the Black Men's Chat come along at a good time in my life where I needed more of that. I needed to expand some of that. But like you say about space, I suppose I'm quite a kind of reclusive person anyway sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, I like my own space or kind of my close-knit space with certain people. And I've gone full circle from being quite outgoing and sociable when I was younger to now, when I'm older, it's like I kind of know what I want and I know when I need my own space.
Yeah,
you know
because
what I
it's
mean?
interesting one, that arc of life.
Yeah.
Sort of like you have that period as a sort of like late teenager, young adult, where you need to be out and about, making some space from your family.
Or you mean looking for a wife?
Yeah,
Yeah,
also
let's
known
give
as
it that some grand sort of idea, and then you have family.
I like that
Yes.
one.
Then you
Straight
have
to it.
family. You can become quite sort of insular with your own family, and then you get to a certain point where you actually think, you know, am I getting too dependent on that own family there, and do I need something more?
Yeah.
And personally, I know when I was in my early 40s, me and a couple of guys there sort of like set up a walking group.
Yes.
Which you've been on that
Yeah, I have,
walking
yeah.
group. So and it was born of the very things you've just said there, which is that feeling of wanting to nearly like make new friends again.
Yeah, it
Literally,
is.
it was
Yeah.
like I wanted new friends.
Not that your old friends weren't good enough.
No,
but
no,
just-
that's
it's
what's
you
new ones.
wanna sort of expand your world, isn't it?
but that's the thing. It's like, do you know? It's like I recently found myself saying, I'm like, you know, like you look like last 6 months has been like super crap. I want like 2026 to start on the right now.
Okay.
But then for me, I'm driving at this moment and I'm thinking all this. I'm thinking I'm gonna get home and I just want to wipe my phone clean,
Really?
all the contacts clean, and then whoever calls me, those are the ones
my
I'm
friend.
gonna call. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, you know, it's like because I do this every year. I'm thinking I'm gonna do this thing and
Yeah.
stuff, and then suddenly I'm like, this is just gonna be one long sum, you know, trying to kind of figure out whose number to say. What if? Because there are some people, you know, at our age, we have those friendships that you don't meet that often, but when you do meet, it's so meaningful that it can last a year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those people that basically it's like the last time it's like I have this brethren in the States, Errol Gale. Errol, we will have a conversation. He'll come to the UK because he's from here. He'll come. We will have a conversation, and then he'll be living like probably like in a day or so. I'm gone. Then next time we meet up, we just catch up from where we left. There's no. I think at our age, there's no desire. We don't demand each other's time the same way we would have when we were younger, when we wanted to hang around and all that kind of stuff. But so how are you guys doing friendship? Because
Wayne, how are you doing friendship?
how are you guys doing friendship?
If I'm honest, in the last 5 years, probably at least, if I'm honest, I probably haven't been that great a friend to some of my friends because obviously COVID was a bit of a sort of disruptive force for everybody. You know what I mean? It disrupted some friendships. For me, COVID was kind of like a pivotal moment because it was around the time of the George Floyd thing. And so work-wise, what that did is it really, it amped up the sort of work that I was doing, really. And I suppose I ended up putting a lot more eggs in the work basket than I really realised I was doing at the time. So that affected some of my friendships, probably not compromised some of them, but it probably diluted some of them in a way, you know, created a bit of distance. So that and COVID, if you see what I mean. So now I'm in a period where I'm more conscious of that. And I sort of try to make a conscious effort more with, you know, existing friends, but also new friends as well that kind of come on the scene. And I'm sort of making a conscious effort to be more outgoing as well. I kind of got a bit too used to being in my own comfort zone.
So how are you finding that?
I'm finding it. That's probably one of my main challenges at the moment because I'm having to have regular, by myself meetings in a way to kind of evaluate that and motivate myself as well to maybe do certain
Well,
things.
you're right about the motivation sometimes.
Yeah.
Because that intentionality about friendship and about... Because, like, all relationships, they take effort. I don't mean effort in that sort of slog effort, but they require you to put something in.
You do.
If you don't put something in, which it would be as simple as, you know when you always say, we're going to go out for a coffee, we meet up for a coffee, you're going to have to give them a ring.
Yeah.
You're going to have to text them and say, what about next Tuesday? What about whenever then? Because if you don't do that,
Things drift.
they drift there. And
Yeah.
that potential of someone you can make a good connection with. I think it was Paul at the last storm meeting there.
Yeah.
And we were all going round. And I really liked what Paul said there about people and people who, in a sense, close to him. He said that if he can make a connection with someone, regardless of who they are, their background, then that's a connection, that human connection. And, I was
I'm
listening
on
to him
that,
and I
yeah.
thought, yeah, you're right. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm sure people are. Can I make that connection? Does that connection get there? But you sometimes have got to put the work in for that connection.
Yeah,
You've got to
definitely.
have you're going to meet them.
Yeah, and I think I respected that what Paul said as well because it was part of a larger conversation we was on about to do with religion at the time, and he was sort of I think promoting the humanist kind of
Yes.
aspect, which I'm fully on board with that. But because I think that sometimes there's things that get in the way, are kind of like our filters of some people might be like I only have black friends. Or a true friend can't be a friend unless they're this or they're that or the other. There's kind of like these barriers maybe that we put in place. And what Paul said for me kind of cut right through that and was more about the human connection. And that's very much what I'm about.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's back to the storm there because actually you got someone there who brought to the conversation table a perspective there which... even though I wasn't able to actually contribute back to it, I went away with it.
Yeah, definitely. Leaves a mark
That's
on you,
what
doesn't
I
it?
went away with.
Yeah, and that's what that group's like.
Yeah.
It will leave things on you or make you think maybe in a way that you wouldn't normally.
Yeah.
And it's not just a kind of educational. I think there's kind of like a spiritual dimension to it as well.
Yeah.
So who has been pivotal in terms of just your own day-to-day process?
What do you mean, sort of like my worldview?
Just a worldview, yeah.
Someone I know or just like...
What shaped your worldview, though?
I've got to be honest, one of the people who springs to mind for me has to be someone who I call my mentor, although he's probably a lot more than that as well. This a friend or a mentor that I have, he's actually an ex-colleague, retired guy, been absolutely pivotal in my life. In terms of shaping and colouring my worldview around just everything from work to family to just, I suppose, my philosophy. But there's been quite a lot of people, do you know what I mean? I'm the sort of person, where I suppose I like to be inspired by people or I like to see if somebody does something or acts in a way or is able to do something that I can't do or I want to do or I aspire to do. I like to beg, steal, or borrow, really, from them. And he's someone I've done that a lot with, my mentor. But, there's different people. Rob Cottrell would be a next one. There's a long line of people. Some of them, people I've never met. Like you have these celebrity figures in your life, don't they, who loom large when you're younger and maybe get a bit less as you get older. But there's been many different kind of parts that I've taken from, really, that shaped who I am.
What about you, Don?
For me, shaped me. Oh, that's an interesting one. I wasn't expecting that. About myself, family, some colleagues, and some friends. There's not been a person at all. But there's been different people at different times in my life. I had one, which was my immediate boss. She was my boss for 18 years. And I remember going. The position I ended up in was as a deputy principal, and I was at the level below that, and I was really pleased to be at that level.
Yeah.
And after the job came up to be deputy, and loads of people were applying for it, and I've already told this story about how I went down to London and I'd done an application on my brother's computer, and then he rang me up when I went back, got home, and he said to me, "You've left your application on my computer. Hope you don't mind, but I read it." And I said, "Okay, that's all right." He said, "Do you want this job?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You're going to have to get serious then."
That's how he dropped it.
That's how he dropped it. And I was angry at him,
Right.
but actually, he was right.
Mm-hmm.
But that was one occasion. And the second occasion was then when I went to say to she was just appointed as the principal, I was going to apply for the post. She said, "I'm glad you were going to apply for it. I thought you might not."
Oh.
And I thought to myself, she wants me to apply for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I applied and I got it.
Mm-hmm.
So those are around that
Pivotal moments.
two pivotal. One is that sense of you're going to have to work for it,
Yeah.
and I'm going to tell you plainly you're going to work for it. And the other was someone saying to me, "I'm glad you have applied for it."
Yes.
And it just gave me that sense of
Yeah.
they could see something in me which I couldn't see in myself, or I was trying to sort of just keep down. And I
Yeah.
think there is that thing sometimes about, you said before, Lungani, about you can internalize ways of being and you can say it's all somebody else. But sometimes you have this bit where, who's going to be it then? You know, who's going to be that black person who's in that position, that position,
Yeah.
that position, that position? You know, if not you.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
No, but
If
that's
not
a-
you,
It's true.
because
That's a
you're
valid
looking to
point.
somebody else to do it,
I know.
and
Yeah.
actually you're not putting your head up. Now you're at that age
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
which is the achieving age,
Yeah.
the 40 age.
Right, is that what that is?
That's what
That
that
sounds
that's
like
the
pressure,
age.
that, Donald.
That's the achieving age. So, it is the achieving
Okay.
age. It's that 40-something age there, where if not you, who?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true though.
That-
It's
no,
true,
that's
and I have thought that to myself. It's true. Yeah.
Because now your daughter is at university.
Yes, my eldest is at university in London. Yeah.
How is it for you though?
Well, expensive. Although I'm not having to foot the bill for everything, but you know the fact she's in London and she's got ambition, she's got drive. So for me, yeah, there's the finance aspect to it. There's also a little bit of fear, if I'm honest. 'Cause
In what way?
obviously, big bad city down there, innit? And anything could happen.
Yeah,
You know
well,
what I
your
mean?
daughter's away in London.
Yeah.
yeah.
So there is a degree of worry for me, yeah, and fear. But there's also a bit of, you know, she's got her wings. I need to let her fly as well. So, and she, you know, is a lot of potential. She's quite streetwise. She's knowledgeable. She's worldly in her own little way as well. So it's like, you know what I mean? I think sometimes you want to keep them incubated, but actually you've got to kind of just let the bird
But
fly.
it is also
sometimes,
as well
don't
to connect the two. She will see your drive. She will see your energy.
you? Yeah.
She will see your commitment. You know, it's like first love. You know,
Yeah.
first love is usually towards your parents.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what they, so in a sense, you're so important in her career.
Yeah, yeah.
Still.
And she is very similar to me. My eldest is like me, and my youngest is like my wife. And yeah, sometimes I see exactly what you're saying in my eldest, where I think, you know, why are you doing that? Or, you know, kind of, why are you putting so much effort into this or whatever? And I think, actually, I do that. She's
But
really
that-
just replicating
But that
what I
effort
do.
has had success.
Yeah, it has.
You know, because
yeah.
you don't get success without effort.
No, that's true. It's not accidental.
It's not
No.
accidental, as they
No.
always say. You know, the coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've all been there.
It is. She has got to get up and go, and I suppose I do have that as well. But it's sometimes, I suppose, when you're that sort of person, you don't always see the costs involved because they're not immediate costs. They can be down the line.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's when you're young, you don't think about that, do you?
No.
So I
you
find
don't,
myself
no.
in the position of being one of them kind of dads, like
Yeah.
you know. Like, do as me say, not as me do. You know.
Yeah, but that's the thing. But then don't you think that at some point we become our very we become like our fathers or
Well,
our
we
own
come to a
parents.
degree. I mean, we haven't. I mean, do you feel? Because you grew up in Sheffield, didn't you? And you grew up at Healy Greenway.
That's right.
All right then. And so
I'm proud of my Healy Green roots.
absolutely, yes. I mean, yeah. I can say you Healy Green to
Yeah. Don't give my postcode away, Donald.
You're a big man now, aren't you? I
Try
said to
it.
you about power.
Try it.
So it's been a journey, hasn't it?
It has been a
Yeah.
massive journey. Yeah, not just a literal kind of linear journey either, but it has. Put a lot of hard work in, do you know what I mean? Had some luck and good fortune as well. But I try my best not to forget about my Healy Green roots. They're important to me, really. Council estate and all that. I still wear that like a badge. I suppose I wear it even more like a badge with where I live at the moment because it's quite affluent. And I always say
in
we
what
live
way
in
is it a badge for you then, in terms of this is the world I came from, this is the world I'm in now.
Yeah.
Who's the badge for? Is it for you? Is it for your children? Who's it for? For the people?
anyone who'll listen, really.
Anyone? Here he goes on again about
it's
it.
that one. It really is that one.
Anyone who
Yeah, it is. It is a badge, and it is for anyone who will listen because, like I say, it's quite an affluent part of the city. I always say we live in the rough bit, though, which I think we do, to be quite honest. But again, I'm sort of all right with that. But still, compared to other areas of the city, it is well-to-do. And compared to where I grew up, there's no
How do you
comparison.
find this one then, which is, for your children, the world you came from is so far away.
Yeah.
It's like another. Well, it literally is another life.
Yeah. It is
and I've
another
had this
life.
conversation
Another
with
world.
my own siblings there, which is.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've done a complaint about, when we complain about our kids, they don't whatever. And we say, back in the day when we were, and then we have to say to ourselves, but they didn't live that life.
That's it. That's what I've had to
The
tell
life is
myself.
what they have.
Yeah, and they don't know about that.
Yes.
And so I found myself as a parent having to be kind of like a reminder or a kind of, to show them in some ways that, look, don't take all this for granted, A few bounce paychecks and we'll be right back somewhere like that, you know what I mean?
Well, it is, isn't
Yeah,
it?
literally. And that's the mentality I've got, you
come
see.
on.
That I'm always a little bit like, okay, we're eating. Yeah, well, that's one word for it. Tight might be another.
Hey, you won't go around his yard to eat food.
Hey, I thought you were drinking it. I'm only joking, but you know what I mean? Yeah, I do have that mentality of, we're eating well now, but we might not be eating well next month or, next year. So be grateful for this, you know what I mean? Or again, people have a lot of nice material things like their friends and things or their friends' families, and kind of sometimes over the years it's been a bit like, why can't we just do whatever? Or why can't we have something like that? And it's like, what, you're not all right with this rickety little car? It's a car,
It's a car, yeah.
You know what I mean? Or whatever.
It's a car.
You know what I mean? Things like that. So I find myself being that kind of realistic reminder of this is what life really is like, for people like us or me growing up or whatever. But it gets a bit boring for kids, doesn't it, hearing that?
Yes, it does.
What has surprised you about yourself? I mean, like now you're in your 40s, and your eldest is gone. What has surprised you about yourself?
One of the main things that surprised me, I think, is how adaptable I've been, how much I've been able to dig deep and alter myself when I've needed to, to adjust. Because you can't just stay being that same person you was 10, 20, 30 years ago. You have to kind of evolve, don't you? To being a parent, being a husband, different jobs, or different things that happen in your life, bereavements, etc. I don't know, showing compassion sometimes when actually, for whatever reason, you've been a quite, hard-nosed person or, having to be kind of a firm person or whatever, actually having to be the opposite to that sometimes. That's where I've surprised myself, where there's times where I've had to step outside that comfort zone, you know what I mean? And I've had to be like, oh, gosh, man, this is going to be hard, you know what I mean? Whatever it is.
And when you've stepped out and it's worked out, how have you felt?
I felt really, I suppose, proud, like of yourself. I'll give you an example. It might seem like a minor one. My wife is big into cooking. She's passionate about cooking, not just for anyone, but for the family. She's a real kind of family-orientated wife. And prides herself on high standards with cooking and all the rest of it. And for years, the kitchen was her domain. Do you know what I mean? So I might sort of try and do a little something in there, and she'd be looking over my shoulder, and you don't want to do it like that. You should do it. Oh, just left me alone, man. You know what I mean? So it'd be that kind of stuff. Then anyway, after a few years, she was like busy with work and stuff, and she'd be like, it'd be great if you could cook some nights, you know. And I'd be like, what? Really? No, I don't want to do that. And I'd be reluctant to. Anyway, I think it was last year or the year before, she was like, I'm going to get Hello Fresh, and you'd be good for you to do something like this. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, oh, God, this is going to be big.
I tell you what, you get a direction there.
I mean,
you better step up.
Yeah, I did. And she kind of, you know, in a way, forced me, cajoled me into doing it. You can do it one day a week. Oh, my gosh, I'm dreading that day when it comes around each week. And anyway, eventually I did it. And when I got into the rhythm of doing it once a week, and I'd done a few meals, and I'd, you know, sort of fed the family.
Yeah.
There's a sort of pride that came from that I'd never experienced before. Do you know what I mean? So that's just one example of it. Yeah.
They're great moments, aren't they? You know, in terms of knowing that you can look after your family in all those different ways. There is a pride, isn't there?
There is.
And again, going back to the men's group there, which is also being able to identify those small things in the everyday which can give us pride. Because pride gives us self-esteem. And, you know, we know that actually when that esteem starts to get sort of slightly dented, then actually you get a deflation.
Yeah, definitely. You can't even see it sometimes, I think, that deflation. It can be a gradual thing, like that erosion, can't it? And then if you're not introducing new
you wake
things,
up one morning in your early 40s, you think, what's going on? I feel as flat as anything.
Yeah, I get that.
It's one of the weird things, especially now that, you know, like we're going towards Christmas. And one thing I realized, I think we mentioned this like a couple of weeks ago about it's dark, right?
Yeah.
It's like super dark, you know, when it's supposed to be light. And that also kind of affects our mood. I don't know, because I've been saying, a couple of weeks ago, Donald asked, I asked Donald, you know, what are you doing for Christmas? And he was able to reel it off, you know. I'm going to be with my daughters and my grandchildren, as one does. You know,
Which gives me great pride.
Great pride. Me, I had nothing.
Okay.
I still have nothing.
No plans, you mean?
No, the plans are there. No, you know, like, you know, you watch people make plans around you.
Yeah.
And somehow they include you in their plans. And, and you're like,
Well, we're back to this agency. So what are you going to do? You've got 2 days away from Christmas. What are you going to do? This is like sort of like Christmas Carol here, isn't it?
This is the Christmas edition.
It's the Christmas edition.
No,
So we're going to be like your ghost of.
No, it's true. It's true. It's like, I'm still in that, it's like, you know, I won't say the uncertainty, but it's like the powerlessness of Christmas. You know, because we are held to ransom by our family.
Yes,
you know what
it's
I mean?
true.
Like,
It is for 2 days. You're trapped with it.
Yeah, you're trapped. Like, because I remember saying to somebody, I was like, you know, I would have loved to kind of go see my brethren in Germany, you know, and just take a flight and go to Germany and just hang out with him. Because I haven't seen him for like a minute. But then I'm like, if I do that, I'll never hear the last time.
You can't just run out at Christmas.
You remember the last time?
Well, maybe because you've said this, Lungani, about intentionality. Maybe the intentionality is that you make an arrangement that you can see that person, but not necessarily on Christmas Day, Boxing Day, but you make the plan.
Compromise.
You make the plan.
it's hard,
you make the
but-
because if you don't make the plan, it's not going to happen.
That's
Because
it.
it's
It
there,
drifts.
isn't it?
It drifts, yeah.
So for you then, Wayne,
What are you doing for
is
Christmas?
Christmas happening around you like it is for Lungani? Listeners, there's Lungani down there. Don't be a Lungani.
Bar humbug.
Wayne, how's it happening for you?
Well, I don't go wild for it. I'm going to be honest. I don't go wild for it. I'm not religious, so there's no religious dimension for me. But I do like the kind of the time off work, obviously the time with family, the rich food, you know, relaxing and kicking back. I suppose there's been a lot of Christmases with my wider family where there's been friction or there's been distance or
That's
separation.
everybody
Do you
fights,
get me?
bro.
Yeah.
That's where people fight.
Yeah,
To
so
say
I've
that.
found as I've got older that's kind of affected me a little bit, if I'm honest. So there is a bit of trepidation getting to Christmas, and there's a little bit of anticipation of, oh gosh, man, I know not everybody's going to come together. It's going to be fragmented.
Yeah.
So I've kind of got to make sure I see the different fragments or training. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of that for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the best thing is that my daughter's come up from London, from uni, so she's going to be with us. All in my immediate household, we'll all be together. I've got one of my good brethrens and his family coming over on Christmas Day to spend Christmas Day with us. Guy from Black Men's Chat Group, who you'll know, Olu, his family.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
That'd be good, that will be,
And we've all got our counterparts with his family
Yeah.
as well. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
his kids are the same age exactly as my kids
Yeah.
as well. So we're like a mirror
Sounds
image.
good.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
what's the
that
address?
is,
Tell all who wants some jollof.
Yeah, I think that's what he's drinking as well, That jollof, it's the bomb, isn't it?
It's the
is,
bomb.
yeah.
It is. It is. So,
Yeah.
so that sounds like you really have got a good day ahead.
Yes.
What about, we talked earlier about friends. So you're Ollie
Yes.
there as your friend coming across there.
Yeah.
So you clearly you're making that effort there.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've got a good few friends. I mean, the friends I've got, I'm very grateful for, and I'm lucky to have friends, I think, from different walks of life. I've got black friends who I really love and respect, Shane from the group as well. Nathan, who I don't think he don't come to the group. But, I've got black friends, I've got white friends, I've got professional kind of friends, middle class, working class. You know what I mean? And that's what I want.
Do you know when you say it like that? Do you sometimes step back and go, actually, you know what? It ain't that bad, is it?
You're right. I mean, when I put it like that, I kind of think so. I mean, I blame people.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. To actually sometimes say, because I think because we're often going about how's life, and people go, oh, it's this.
I
it's
know,
that,
yeah.
And then other times you say, but it's sweet.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's good because, it doesn't stay like that. The clouds come over.
That's it.
And
And
the
it
clouds
does.
will come over there
true.
and they'll be there and it'll feel as if those clouds are just over you
Yes, that's right.
for such a long time. And then they will scud away and the blue sky will come again. So when it's the blue sky again, we need to bask in it. We need to acknowledge it and just sort of like take it for what it is and enjoy it for what it is there.
Yeah. I need you to record that. I need to play that every now
play
and
that.
again. You know what I mean?
Well, let's
Yeah.
go with, because we'll be doing it because it's the end of the year. It's
Yes.
2025 is closing.
Oh, yes.
What do you want from 2026 then?
Well, primarily security for my family,
Yes.
my immediate family and their health. They're like primary things. Other things, work-wise, I suppose, for me, just like a degree of stability would be nice. There's been a bit of disruption this year. A key player at work has left, somebody who was very much like a sort of Alex Ferguson character.
What,
in my
throwing the
life.
plates around?
Well, yeah. So she was less. She was less kind
Were you
of
the David?
David Beckham.
Beckham?
Nah, I'd like to think more Eric Cantona. if I'm
Oh,
honest, but, you know.
a little bit of that elan, that creativity.
I like to think that, but yeah, the pivotal person at work left, and so that was really disruptive.
Yep.
Mother-in-law died as
Oh,
well.
yes, I'm so sorry that.
That was really sad. And but yeah, I'm hoping next year we have a bit more stability on that front, and work-wise, it's stable as well. I'll be happy with that. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a win, as they say.
Yeah. What about you two? What are you hoping for in 2026?
Oh no, but me I've got. I reeled out last week, like a list of things that some projects that I need to finish for 2026, including the Steve Edwards, sort of like behind the scenes, for his album launch.
Okay.
And then we'll take on the Montuno one, because Montuno is like sort of like a music collective.
Okay.
And I'm hoping to do something, like a documentary around the musicians, involved in that.
Really?
And then
That sounds exciting.
well, this one is not as glamorous as it sounds. I know, it sounds glamorous, but there's a lot
Sounds
to it.
exciting, man. A documentary. Sounds
But then there's something that Kent Roach mentioned, which I had been toying with, this idea of kind of going back to every episode and sort of kind of transcribing, like some of the conversations and then writing and then writing a book behind Trims and Talk.
Oh, right. That
Yeah,
sounds
that-
good.
Lungani's always asked people, when's your book coming out?
Yeah, when is your
Okay.
book
So he's
coming out?
answering his
Right.
own question for
Yeah.
himself there. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
for you, is there? I mean, the book is a sort of like a metaphor
Yeah.
really.
Yes.
So for you, when's the book coming out?
Well, the book's already out, to be honest. Yeah, I did that a few years ago, the kind of book
Oh, yeah.
thing. Yeah, there's a book that I co-edited and contributed to called Outlanders, Hidden Narratives from Social Workers of Colour.
Wow.
So, like I said, with the whole George Floyd thing
Yes.
happened, yeah, I had a kind of out-of-body experience for about 2 or 3 years, really.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
book got produced during that time and quite a few other things. So, yeah, the book's out there. I would signpost people to that
Oh,
if
wow,
they're interested
brilliant,
in
yeah.
that kind of thing. That's got some of these stories in that I've told you about kind of work life, trajectory, family, growing up and whatnot. It's all in there, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, literature and writing, it interests me. But at the minute, there's so many other things that
Yeah.
I'm kind of spinning creatively that I'd like to go back to literature at some point or writing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, for the minute, it's kind of like at the back of the queue, really. But, yeah. That's
Yeah.
So how are you doing mental health? How's your mental health?
Gosh, that's straight to the core.
Yeah, he's known for his tact.
Okay, that's like a Jeremy Paxman one, that, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, I can't pick myself up off the floor now.
He's got the light on you as well.
I know, innit? Yeah, I'm just going to go ring my GP. I'll be back in a bit.
That's why I have to meet you beforehand.
come
Just
on.
to soften you up
No,
for it.
no, come on, guys.
Okay.
No.
Man's getting straight to the chase now, you know. Yeah, like, okay.
No.
How's
No.
my mental health?
Yeah,
All right,
no,
let me answer that. I
Yeah.
would say that, well, mental health for me is kind of like a variable thing anyway, just for
Yeah.
human beings. Some days it's good, some days it's bad. Do you know what I mean? It's not a static, still thing. For me, it's just that. It's variable.
Yeah.
So depending on what's going on, some days I could be pretty flat, as we've talked about, and you kind of, you know, in your mind's eye, you think about things, you look at certain things, and you can't really see the wood for the trees. You know what I mean? It can be quite a sort of negative, pessimistic outlook. Do you know what I mean? Even despite some of the positive things that we've talked about, you know what I mean, that are going on in my life. Other days it's like, I'm on top of the world, ma. Do you know what I mean? Everything's rosy, but it's the same life, the same
Yeah.
person. You know what I mean?
It's one of the things which, I mean, I like the way, I've always liked the way in which Robert introduces the group on the Friday where he talks about 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And in there, I'm hearing resilience.
Yeah.
Because in a sense, really, we use ourselves like a tree as a metaphor there, you know, and the tree can bend with the wind.
Yeah.
You know, but you don't want it to break.
No.
And sometimes it bends really
It does
low.
really low.
You have that 2 and 3 there.
Yeah.
And it stays like that. You've
Yeah.
seen those trees on the hillside there, and they're bent
but
like
like
that.
they're- like-
But it's not broken.
Like
No,
they're
it's
holding
still
on
there.
to your
It's
life.
Not
Might be
broken.
twisted. Some of them are twisted, aren't
Are we
they?
going to get a few gnarls and
Yeah,
twists in life,
yeah.
etc.?
Yeah.
But it then can come back again.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that sort of like analogy for me in the group, I always find it as a sort of quite a sort of comforting bit.
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
Because resilience is what we have to build. It's built over, we build it for our children in terms of the way in which we support them in their early days, etc. And we support it through the friendships we have with one another. We support it through our close, intimate relationships.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm sure the resilience is there.
Yeah, I'm sure
it is there.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
You wouldn't be here
You know
now,
what
would
I
you?
mean?
No,
Yeah.
it's true,
Answering
it's
this
true,
question.
it's true.
Yeah, it's true. That is the reality, though, what
Yes,
you say.
it
And I
is.
suppose I've got to the ripe old
Yeah.
age of 46.
Yeah.
My birthday last Monday.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
gone.
happy
So,
birthday.
it's a big man there.
Thank you. You know what I mean? I feel like,
Yes.
I've made it. You
Yes.
know what I mean? So with all that, I just think, I'm a bit like that gnarled tree in a way.
Yes.
So you asked me
You're
today.
getting a few more gnarls on the way, you know. You will.
Don't
Let
tell
me
me
tell
that,
you, I've
man.
got 20 years on. You're going to get a lot more gnarls on the way.
Oh my God, I thought it was plain sailing from
This
here.
one years on.
I'm 65. He's 46, so it's 19 years.
Me, I'm 10 years on here.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
So you're between us, like the middle ground
Yeah, I'm
between
the
us.
middle
Well.
ground.
Yeah.
I've got this to look forward to. I'm happy.
This
with
how you
that.
can
Yeah,
see it. Jump that one.
just go to wisdom. Let me tell you.
Okay,
It's
all right.
from here to there.
Can you imagine? You're the stepping stone, man. I'm going to stick with the stepping
There is
stone.
a lot of confusion from the here to there.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
And then you start developing pains you never knew
Hey,
where.
I'm
all
getting
came
some
from.
of them already.
When you're with a group of 65 you can do all of that. But we're thankful we're here.
Yeah.
No,
And
we're
thankful
grateful
for the
we're here,
people
man.
you know we have in our lives.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I do get sort of like that, sort of like, yeah, I do get a sort of, what can you call it? Reflect and think. I mean, I'm one of those, when there are obituaries, and yesterday it was Chris Reid died.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And I'm driving back home.
Yeah.
And these are songs from the 70s
Yeah.
there. And you think, oh, that's a generation going.
I know.
But try and take as much. We should try and take. It's Christmas time. Let's say
Yes.
now,
Yeah.
and it's a time for us to sort of like stand back there, and it's family time,
Yeah.
and it's time for us just to take stock a bit. And literally to be thankful for what we have, if
Yeah.
we have anything.
Yeah,
that's
There's
it.
people who've got
Yeah,
nothing there,
Yes.
but for those of us who've got a little bit,
Yeah.
we're thankful for the little bit we've got. And the most
True.
important bit is that we've got good relations.
Yeah,
That's
it
it.
is.
And we
Good
know we
health.
have people who love us,
Yeah.
and that we love people. So that's how I'm taking at the
Yeah.
moment. At the moment, I'm feeling that joyful spirit out there.
That's one of the things I took from you, Donald, because I think we probably got to know each other mostly from the Black Men's Chat as well.
yeah.
And as one of the elders in the group, that's one of the things I've took from you, like your philosophy on life. I subscribe to that. I'm part
No,
of that,
but
and I
that's
like
it.
that in that you're reflective, he thinks about things, he's not just impulsive, doesn't just say the first thing that comes out of his mouth.
Wait, see,
Do you know what I
bigging
mean?
me up
Yeah,
more than
but-
you do.
But I've got a lot from
I do.
I joke,
I
yeah.
really do. No, because
Yeah.
I think like yourself. I mean, he has been very pivotal in my
Really?
in my process. Yeah, because I've known this brethren since 1999. That's
that's
when
a
I
long
first.
time.
Because we worked together at Sheffield College at Norton Center.
Okay, right.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it was my first time seeing a black guy in that kind of role. I'm
Right, okay.
Hey, he was the first guy I
Yeah.
remember who he was a musician. He was in the music department.
thinking, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm
yeah.
thinking, he's in the music department.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
got cool.
Yeah, definitely. Just
What
when
have I
you get
got?
elevated overnight.
I didn't have a clue what I was doing.
Can you play instruments then?
Well, I taught music across the board, but I do like composing and
Yeah.
and whatever you.
So I know you mentioned that in the Black Men's
Yeah.
Chat, you did composing and
Yeah,
stuff.
I did a bit here and there.
Okay.
But this is the thing about us as a community, which also I sometimes kind of sort of worry about, is that we do a lot of stuff, great stuff, but we don't really shine a light on the things that we do, or we don't, kind of that thing like see each other as much as we see each other and do that nod. I think sometimes there's room to actually just say, you know what, I think you're doing okay, you know.
Oh yeah, big
And-
each other up, you mean?
yeah, that's
Platform
it.
each other. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because it's like I was thinking about this morning that, many of us who don't have the traditional family structure in this part of the world, us immigrants, we don't have, outside me, I got no family in this part of the world except my sort of
Immediate
like
family.
immediate family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that basically speaks to a lot. That hence why, for me, when I look at like Storm or the Black Man, group in SACMA,
Yeah.
for me it hits different because as much as it is about connection, it's also about family.
Yeah, yeah.
And to me, especially around this time of the year, I'm always cognizant to kind of say, you know what, if it wasn't for those, the Robert Cottrells, the Clinton McCoys, the Leroy Wenhams, all these guys like yourself who have been through this door
Yes.
and sat here, I don't know what my the wider structure
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
like.
yeah.
Because it's I was saying to Donald, was it last week or the week before? I was saying, I remember when I first came to this country, we spent last week talking about our origin story.
Right.
Yes.
I remember meeting a guy from Botswana. He stayed at the same house where I was.
Yeah.
He was a student at the University of Sheffield. He says it will be better to have white friends than black friends.
That's what he said.
That's what he told me when I first came to Sheffield.
Right.
And I went on to prove him wrong.
Yes.
And what was his thinking?
I just think it's, the perpetuation of that nonsense that that the West Indians and the Africans don't agree, that they don't, they don't really see each other.
Oh, okay.
But for me, for me, and I always speak openly about this, the family that embraced me here were from the Caribbean.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
There's a kind of natural affinity there.
That's
for
what
me.
I'm saying.
You know,
for
I
me.
don't pretend to know all the history. I know some of the history,
Yeah.
but not all the history. I don't pretend
Yeah.
to be an expert on the culture. I don't think anyone's an expert on the culture. But I know that we all originate from the same part of the globe.
That's
and
it.
any sort of division there is a kind of residue from
But it,
colonization.
but it can
Colonisation,
present
yeah.
differently, can't it? You know,
That's
how
it.
people present themselves. And I think, you are, if it's fair to say this, not an exception, but slightly marginal, therefore, to the Zimbabwean community here in Sheffield.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a
But-
nuance there.
Yes.
I see.
But that also, but then to be honest, for me, it's like I think my journey here has been also as an observer, as a writer and a journalist and
Yes.
stuff, and a filmmaker. I have always seen things that other people refuse to notice.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I just don't see. I also see interaction. I see the unspoken, the hesitation when we come into a room where everybody looks like us.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So when I sit with the brethren in Storm, or Louis Nigerian, there's some brethren from the Caribbean. I go to there, some brethren from other parts of the world and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And for me, all those brethren were formative. You know, when I last time I spoke about the sleeping on Clinton McCoy's couch.
Right.
You know, Ogo Samo opening his house for me to live in his yard for long periods of time, never asked me for a penny.
Gosh, man.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
That's
then
amazing.
basically was like a demystification of that nonsense we say about people who look like us.
Yeah, yeah.
What I'm hearing
you
as
know what I'm
well,
saying?
though, is, when you talk about community, sometimes community, people say, well, we've got to get the community together. And you think it's such a big phrase.
It is a
Yeah.
big
But
phrase, bro.
Yeah.
What you're illustrating there is that connection of the individual who's looking out for someone
Yes.
else.
Yeah.
All those individual acts of goodwill,
Humanity.
Yes.
innit?
of humanity,
Humanity,
there,
yeah,
are the
it
things which
literally
make
is.
community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the name itself,
Yeah.
whatever, doesn't mean anything to
Some of
anybody
it
there.
kind of transcends colour.
It's got to be
yes,
that someone's
culture, that
doing
was that.
something for
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't know you, but I will look out for
That's
you.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know
Curiosity.
you've come just here to the UK.
Yeah.
You don't know anybody yet. I need to help you.
Yeah.
And I know myself, if you've experienced something similar, that you can put that helping hand out for
Yeah.
somebody there.
Yeah.
You know what we are mindful of time.
Yes.
But
Yes, yes.
we have done a very Christmas New Year
No, we have, bro.
Yeah.
podcast today.
Is that a nice
it's that
theme?
good, yes,
Yeah.
it's in the theme
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And you've been doing, you've had goodwill to us because you're here today.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I've got to say thank you.
No, thank you, bro.
Yes.
We really
Yes.
appreciate you
Yes,
because for
thank
me,
you there.
'cause
Respect.
As I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, Wayne Reid. Which Reids are we talking about? Because I know so many Reids.
A lot of people say that to me,
Holy,
Yeah. My family's the smaller, more insular one. You know what I mean? Saying that, I've got certain
it's
aunties and
marginal
uncles.
Reids.
Yes, the
marginal
marginal
Reids.
Reids. Yeah, I think there's a larger Reid family in Sheffield that I don't really know of, to be honest. I think they might spell their surname the same as well. R-E-I-D. But we're the smaller, marginal
The Healy
family.
Green
The Healy Green. Well, not all of us are at Healy
Yeah,
Green,
yeah,
actually.
yep.
It's, Debo.
I'm nearly Healy Green, so I'm still
yeah.
out there. Yes,
And
I'm
then
shouting
Oh,
to
yes.
Healy Green.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mearsbrook.
I'm Mearsbrook. Yes.
Yeah, because when
Nice,
they say, oh no, I'm not religious. Because you guys, both of you say, oh no, we're not religious and stuff. But then I'm thinking, because the wisdom doesn't come from. As much as there's a spiritual element to some
You
of
should have been at the last.
You should have. The
You
last
should have been
Batman's
at the
chat,
last
that was
talk.
wicked.
Because
Yeah.
that's what we were talking about,
Yeah.
and it was a really, really
Probably the best one for me.
It was
Yeah.
really thoughtful, really sort of like there was a lot going on there. It was brilliant,
Big
And-
debates,
and
but
big
respectful
debate.
debates.
respectful. But
Yeah.
as I said at the beginning there about that, you can disagree,
Yeah.
and I think actually that's something which has actually been developing that capacity for people to disagree.
Yeah, and still
this,
respect
In a
yeah, because that is
beautiful way.
respect there. Because
Yeah.
I'm not trying to force you to
No.
think like me.
Yeah.
I just want you to hear me.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it is.
That's
Just
all
give
I
me
want
the
you
time
to
and
hear me.
space
That's
and,
what, you know,
and reciprocate that.
and I want you me to hear you
Yeah,
as well. If
that's
I'm not
it.
hearing you, then I'm,
Yeah.
and all of those things I think are adding to, as Paul said there, that connection with one another, to get a deepening connection
most important
with one
thing.
another.
Yeah.
But actually, when you leave that room, you feel slightly more connected to those people in that room.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel.
We don't all have to agree on
Yes,
it, though, is
yes.
it? It's like just a connection, as you say.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also the whole idea of great, what they call it, great minds think alike. I don't believe that. No, I don't. I
Small
think,
minds think differently. You believe
no,
in that?
I think great minds disagree. Great minds basically challenge each other too.
Yes.
So that thing about great minds thinking alike for me is sort of like, I'm thinking whoever came up with
Well,
that.
you don't want
was on the-
groupthink, do you?
No.
You
Yeah.
know, if you have an organisation or situation where
Yeah.
everyone's thinking the same,
Yeah.
then you're just following,
Yeah.
you're just
That's
following one
it.
another there.
Yeah.
You need people to be, sometimes someone's got to throw a bomb into the room. Not
literally.
You've got to throw something
Yeah.
into that to make it go out a bit.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
also got to have people who just come at it. And that, which I've always, love the way in which Lungani comes at left field.
Yes, I've seen somebody in a podcast, and I
He's a
got to
left
admit,
fielder.
I was
You're
like, I
not
got to watch
thinking
this,
it.
buddy.
Where's that come
I
from?
know.
Yeah, he's the paxman in the room.
No, No, it's the curiosity. I
Yeah,
think
no,
for
it's
me,
good
it's
though.
the
Healthy, yes.
curiosity because I think there are certain questions we don't ask each
Yeah.
other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if we are brethren and we mean that,
Yeah.
we should be able to.
Yeah, it's got to
ask
find
each
a way in
other
it to
questions.
say
You
it.
find a way
Yeah.
there because that's,
Yeah.
it sounds too grand to say it, but, to respect one another, even the differences which we have in one another.
Yeah.
I say even. In fact, it's the only way, if we truly respect
real
one
life,
another,
innit?
that
Yeah.
actually we recognise the differences in one another and we're able to accept it with one another.
That's
It's
it.
like, is it James Baldwin says, we can disagree as long as it doesn't mean that you want to kill me.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
words to
that's
that
it.
effect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, no, but
Hey,
that
he's
is
a
right.
man. If you've not read much James Baldwin, get yourself out there and read James Baldwin.
No,
'cause
I
those
think-
words written in the 50s and 60s are as valid today as they were then.
Big time.
But
Yeah.
that's it. So
Fully agree.
thank you.
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
again.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
How was that then?
Perfect.
Yes.
Dreams and thoughts. Dreams and thoughts. Dreams and thoughts. I wanna